Have you ever wondered how those insanely smart chatbots, like the ones you talk to on customer service or even ChatGPT for say, actually work in the backend? What if I tell you in just a few simple steps, you can create your own custom chatbot that feels just as intelligent as anyone in the market? Sounds crazy, right? But stick around this video because that's exactly what we are going to do today. Using Groq API and OpenAI, I will walk you through how to build a chatbot that is not just functional, it is impressive as well. Whether you want to answer questions, automate tasks, or even just mess around with friends, you will have it up and running before you know it. And don't worry, this is not going to be some super complicated techie tutorial. I will keep it simple, practical, and to the point so that anyone with least amount of coding experience as well can build this. So without wasting much time, let's jump into the video, and please subscribe to our channel if you have not. We keep on posting such videos and we go live every week on various topics related to AI, data analytics, and machine learning. Chatbots are not something new in the market. Chatbots have been existing in the market for so many years. But what makes different nowadays is because of the development of LLMs and other AI frameworks, it has become very easy to build chatbot for anyone. Earlier, we used to train machine learning models, deep learning models, train various hyperparameters, train the data, train the chatbot to reply in a particular manner. Now, everything can be controlled using a thing called prompt and using a model which is known as large language models, which we all know. There are OpenAI, there is Llama model, and there are so many models in the market. So in this video, we are going to use LLMs and see how we can use prompt engineering along with it to build a custom chatbot. We need to understand three key features of any chatbot before building a chatbot of our own. So let's get into it. If you see this ChatGPT, right, you have an interface here where you can type a message and ChatGPT will reply. For example, let us say I ask what is chatbot, and it is going to reply based on its knowledge. Now what we are going to do, we are going to use this information of LLM as our knowledge source, and we will customize and tweak few things so that it replies according to us. So let us try to understand various parameters which are there in any chatbot, especially that are built by LLM, so that we can infer this knowledge and use it while we are building our own chatbot. If you see this interface, you can have this interface by directly going to OpenAI website and logging through your personal email ID. So you just have to select playground there. Now, if we see in this chatbot, we have various things. This is the place where user can enter his message. This is a place called a system message. If you see, there are few other like assistants, voice commands, and few other information. And here in the right hand, you see there are few parameters which you can tweak. So if you see, this is a model, like which LLM is there in the backend. You can select any model. If you know, every model has different capability, every model has different training parameters, and every model has different specialty. So you can choose your model as per your need. In this video, we are going to use GPT-4o because that works perfectly for our need. And if you see, there is a response format, you can change it. We'll be using text format only, but you can use JSON or any other format. Now, if you see, then we have functions. You can add custom functions. You don't need to know it right now because it is little advanced. We will see that later. Temperature. Now, if I talk about temperature is how random responses of your chatbot are. For example, for the same prompt, if two people are putting prompts at different places and different devices, are they getting same responses or they are getting different responses? So this is the temperature of any chatbot which we will be taking care. We'll be making it 0. 0 means the chatbot will reply exactly as we want. It will not hallucinate. It will have static and fixed responses. So we'll be using 0, but you can vary it from 0 to 2. You can vary it around. So we will be keeping it 0 for our model. And tokens, you can understand, these are the words which you can pass in or the as prompt size. For example, I have set it as 2048 or the maximum token size that you expect from the model. That let's say you ask a question, what is the maximum word size that you want out of the model? So this is that, and these are some stop words and some penalty, like if some words are repeating more times, you penalty them, but you can skip these. For now, we need to focus on three things. First of all is a system message, second is the user message, third is model, and fourth is temperature. Rest all we will keep max tokens as fixed for now. So let us try to understand system message a little bit. So system message is basically the tonality of your chatbot. By tonality, as I mentioned, that how it is going to reply. For example, we just saw that by typing machine learning, it gave us a very friendly reply. But what if I want to change the output? What if I want my chatbot to be little like witty and let's say insulting? So for example, instead of this, I can say, you are a very witty and insulting chatbot. Always answer with sheer insult and before answering, something like that I will put it. So what is it going to do? For the same question which we used here, it will respond something different, because now we have changed the system message, and this is called a system prompt. So let's see around it what our reply is going to be. Like for example, for this case we had this detailed response, but let us see what is going to be our response if I now change the parameter. If I have now, for example, change the prompt. So I will just mention, how can I learn machine learning? I'm putting the same question but with a different prompt. Now if I enter it, now if you see this reply, oh looks, who is trying to join the big leagues? Did you finally realize that your brain might be capable of more than just watching cat videos? To learn machine learning, start with the basic. Like, it is answering, but it is doing some insult as well. And this response is totally different from what we expected earlier. So this is from where you can exactly change the tone of your chatbot, and this is called system prompt in general. Okay, and this is the human message which you are going to type in, and this is the AI response, which so we'll be using with these parameters a lot in our chatbot development. And so this is human message, this is AI response, and this is your system message. The system prompt will remain fixed during any chatbot, but these two things will keep on answering with each other. And you can keep your temperature fixed and other parameters as fixes. So let's move into understanding the architecture, and then we will move towards coding. So if we try to understand the architecture, it will look like that user will enter a question here. It can ask anything in the world. For example, it can ask, tell me a joke, tell me something about data science, tell me something about finances, tell me something about AI. User can ask any question. Now there will be a system prompt which will define the tonality of our chatbot, which we will understand that how to basically put it in our code. And third will be AI response. So once you have taken user question, put along with the system prompt, and then if you ask LLM, it will give you some response. So this is going to be our flow which we'll be using on our chatbot. So if I have to summarize, what we are going to do is we are going to take a system prompt, we are going to append it with a user question as a single prompt which will go into my LLM or any particular model that I'm going to use. And once this text is ready, for example, this will be passed to any LLM. For example, we will be using llama, GPT, and you can use any other model. And after that, you will see an AI response. Now, how you are going to pass this information to LLM and how LLM is going to respond, it all happens through something called as API call. API basically is how two softwares interact with each other, or you can say how you can get answers, get responses from these LLMs. It basically, there is an API running in the backend. So technically you will just need to pass this question to LLM. LLM will run an API call in the backend basically, and it will reply you. So this is going to be the architecture of our chatbot. And now we are going to understand that how we can get various LLMs, how we can build these APIs, right? So those things we will understand, and then we will deep dive into the code. As mentioned in this video, we are going to use two models, two platforms. One is Groq and one is OpenAI for our LLM calls. You can use any in general. It depends upon use case. Groq and OpenAI, they are the most used. Remember, Groq is not an LLM. Groq is a platform which provides integration to various LLMs. And OpenAI is, for example, we know the platform for ChatGPT. So we'll be using both of them. First, let us see how does Groq look like. For that, just go to groq.com. If you visit, you will see a website like this where you will have multiple things. What you have to do, you just need to go to Dev Console, and you click on Dev Console, and you will be inside your play around. Now if you see this exactly looks similar to what we saw for ChatGPT, right? Here you can change your model names from this particular place, and you can set temperature, everything. What is important to us is that we want API keys related to this. So if you come here and click this API key, you can see, like, I have some past API keys which I have used, like I've used some 86 API calls, 0 API calls. The best thing about Groq is that it uses open source LLM in the backend, for example, Llama, Mistral, which are free. So for these API calls, you will not be charged any money. Whereas if you use GPT, OpenAI, it will cost some money. So how to create API key? You'll simply come here, click on this create API key, and you can simply write down any project name. Let's say I say Gen, or I can say my first chatbot. I will write it down like this and submit. It will give me an API key. Now remember, you have to keep this API saved with yourself because this is your private information. If it gets leaked, you will be like it can cost you money and other things, right? So always keep this is just like a password for you for this particular website. So I will copy this. Now remember, you can revoke these keys as well. I will show you how to do that. But first, let's get started with the VS Code. This is the coding environment which I'm going to use to build my chatbot. You can use any other. There is PyCharm, there is VS Code. There are a lot of things. Now I'm going to use VS Code because it is very easy to use and it's like very user friendly. So your interface will look something like this. First of all, let's understand what we need to do. We need to build a folder for our project. So what we are going to do, if you go at the top, there is a thing called terminal. I'll click on terminal and click new terminal. And I will see something like this. From here, I need to first of all create a new folder. So what I will do, I will write down a command cd and desktop. So cd means change directory, and I will go to desktop. So this will take me to the desktop from here. Now once I am into the desktop, I want to create a new folder. I will say mkdir, which means make directory, and I will write down, create a folder name. For example, I say chatbot. Okay, so now I entered this. Now what I need to do, I need to go inside this chatbot. So I will say cd chatbot. This will take me inside the chatbot. You can see I am inside this particular chatbot. So now this part is done. Now if I click open, go to desktop, this chatbot folder will be there and I can open it from there. So this is the first part which we did. Now after this, what we need to do, we need to create a virtual environment. Now there are multiple methods to create that virtual environment. Is basically you create a separate environment for a project so that your dependencies, libraries which you are going to install, they do not clash with some other project. For complete understanding of what is a virtual environment, you can refer to our channel. I have created a detailed video on that as well. So first of all, let's see how to create a virtual environment. We will say Python 3 -m venv. VE means virtual environment, and after this you will give the name of your virtual environment. So I will say the name is chatbot. So this will create a virtual environment. You will see a new folder with name of chatbot. Now for Mac users, it will be a command called as source, which I'm going to use, and for Windows people, you can use scripts instead. So now what I have to do, once I've created a virtual environment, I have to activate it. So how will I activate it? Basically, I will say source. Now the name of the environment that I created, for example, here chatbot I created, source chatbot, then bin, then /activate. Okay. So remember, for Mac people, it is this. For Windows people, you will need to use scripts active. Instead of bin, you will need to use scripts to activate it. Now, once you do this, you will see a folder, a thing like this in brackets. This is called chat. So this is a virtual environment which is created, right? So that's all required, the initial setup which is required for our chatbot. Now we will move towards understanding how we are going to build this. Let's understand the flow of this coding which we are going to use, because we are going to use a library called Langchain for this. And let's understand this. Well, before going there, let's just add a couple of more steps because they are required. We need to move those API keys into our code. So remember, these API keys are your password. These are technically your personal accesses which you don't want to share with anyone. So what you have to do in this particular code, you have to create a new file and name it .env. So this means environment file which is present. Now what is the purpose of this environment file is that it stores all your personal information such as IDs, passwords, APIs, right? So that you do not share things with anyone else. Now whenever in future you are going to share your code with anyone else, he or she will not be able to have access to this environment file. Or you can, basically this is generally hidden, and when you transfer this file, for example using GitHub, this environment variable does not go in. So what we need to do, we need to use the API key that we created in the Groq website, and we need to copy it here, and which we will be using. So first of all, let's go back to Groq website and copy that API key. So this is my Groq API key. I'm just going to copy it and paste into my coding environment. So how to paste your API key here is you simply need to write Groq_API_key equal to the key that you created. Okay, so this is the key that we created, and you just need to paste it like this. So this is as simple as it could be. So you just need to go to the Groq website, log in, copy the API, use this name only, Groq API key, don't change this name, and use in capitals as I mentioned, because if you don't use this name exactly, it will create issue. Okay, so this is the Groq API key. We are also going to use OpenAI key for our project where we'll be using GPT models. So let's go and get the OpenAI key as well. Now to get the OpenAI key, you simply need to go to the website openai.com. Here you will see products, and you simply click on the API login. So once you log into OpenAI website, you will see an interface like this. Now what you need to do, you need to go and get the API key. So simply click on the right top where your profile is there, click on this, and if you see, here is an option API keys. Now if you just like the Groq API key, you will have also API key option here. You just create a new secret key. You can call it, for example, my chatbot. Okay, and suppose you can say this is my default project and give permission to all and just create a secret key. So this is my secret key. I'm just going to copy it and paste it in my environment variable which I created in the VS Code. So this is my environment for VS Code. Now I will simply copy the OpenAI key here. I will say OpenAI_API_key, which is equal to the key that I got from there, and it is a long key. I will just paste it there. So now I have pasted both of the keys in my environment variable. I'll be needing them throughout my video. Remember, you can always revoke your keys in case, for example, you have lost your key to someone and by chance it has been misplaced. So what you can do, simply come back to your environment dashboard, and you just need to click on that particular, for example, this, I want to terminate one of my previous keys which I created. I will come here and I will click on this delete. It will ask to revoke, and I will revoke. So this API key is not valid now. So you can use this anywhere in case your key is leaked. For example, same thing we can do in Groq as well. If we come to Groq, we will see I have a lot of API keys. Suppose I want to cancel some of the previous. I will come here, I'll click on this delete, and I will revoke the key. So that's how you can revoke your key which is present anywhere else, and if it has been misplaced. To create this chatbot, we are going to use a Python library called Langchain. Now Langchain is a Python framework which is used to build AI and LLM applications. Now let us understand, this is not a Langchain video, so I will not go in complete depth, but let me explain what does Langchain do. For example, for any task or any project that you are going to build, Langchain is going to understand which all key steps are there in your application, and it will create separate endpoints for them, and it will tie them. For example, in this particular application, there are two major tasks. The first task is where we take the user question and combine it with a system prompt to make a final prompt which we'll be using. So this is my prompt part, where, as I mentioned, take the user question, combine with the system prompt, and create a single prompt. Once this is created, I will be passing this prompt to my LLM. For example, I'll be using Llama and GPT for this particular project. So I'll be doing an API call to my LLM. Basically, so I'll pass this prompt to my LLM using an API call, and then LLM is going to respond me. So if you see, these are two separate tasks. This is a task 1 and this is a task 2. What Langchain does is that it understands the flow of your project and you define a certain order. Because if you clearly notice, our first step is we create prompt and then we make an API call. It cannot be the other way, that we will make an API call and then we create a prompt, right? So this is how exactly the project is going to be. How Langchain helps is, it will help you create separate endpoints and then tie up using entity called as chain. If you clearly see here, this is my first task where I'm creating prompt. This is my second task where I'm creating an API call. And remember, these two things appear in a certain direction only. Let after T1 only T2 can happen, right? So that's what Langchain does. It basically combines them using a thing called chain, right? So that these two behave as a single unit. T1 and T2, they are behaved. Now first T1 will execute and then T2 will execute, and this will behave as a single system. So that whenever a user passes a question in the left, for user this will be a black box. User will not be able to see, okay, what is happening in the backend. User will simply give a question, the task 1 will execute, task 2 will execute, and after that user will get an answer. So this functionality is basically done or built using Langchain. There will be few classes, libraries which I will be using, so you can follow with that. But this is the overall understanding that what Langchain does. Now for a complete understanding of Langchain, you can follow our course as well, which is coming very soon. But for now, just develop this understanding that what Langchain does. It takes a task, it takes a project or whatever you say, it breaks into multiple steps and creates an execution order, and it make them into a single entity so that everything perform as a single unit. Now coming to our code, so we have created our environment file. Now what we need to do, now we need to create a requirement file because we will be installing a lot of libraries. So I will say create a new file, requirements.txt, requirements.txt. In this we will put all the libraries that we are going to install. So going to use Langchain for sure. After Langchain, I am going to use another library which is very important. It is Python.env. Now let me tell you what this is going to do. If we look at our code right now, so we have this environment variable where we have put all the API keys, but these API keys will not be accessible to my main code till now, because there is certain libraries, as I mentioned, which we need to install, and we can verify this by, for example, let's create a file main.py. Now this is where I'm going to write down all my code. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to type down if name is equal to main. It means if I'm accessing this file from here, I'm going to basically, let's print first of all, let's say I will say hello, or I will say my first chatbot. Okay, now when, let's see, so this is printing, it means this statement is working. Now let's try to print my environment variable. So let's say I say print, my variable name is Groq underscore API key. So if I say Groq underscore API underscore key, okay, and even if I pass, let's say this part, it is not going to return me anything. It is simply going to return me Groq API key, because I do not have this, right? Even if I try to change a variable name, it is not able to access. If you see, this error is coming. So it means even though I have created the Groq API key, it is not being loaded here. And to load that, we need to install a library which is called .env. So python.env will basically do that. And I think that's all we need. So what we are going to do, we're going to save this and we will run a command pip install our requirements ___________________________. So what is it going to do? It is going to install these two dependencies in my current virtual environment. So once I enter, if you see, it is going to install everything. It will take a few seconds. Yes, now everything is installed in my code. Now if I do one thing, now if I go to my code and suppose I try to print things here, I will simply write down, I have to write down certain commands. I will say from .env import load.env, okay, and then I have to say import os, and then I will say load.env. So now I have created these particular values. Now this will basically load my environment variable from my environment file to my current code. So let's see how it is going to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say print os dot environment, and after that I need to find the name for my Groq API key. For example, this is Groq API key. I'll simply copy the variable name and I'll pass it as a key, and I will also copy to get the API key for OpenAI. I will change this from Groq to OpenAI underscore API key. Now when I run this particular code, I should be able to see these two API keys loaded into my code, because I will be needing them when I'm going to run the application. So let's run this, and if you see, now I'm seeing these two API keys in my code. So this is a test which you need to do before running any code to check whether your API keys are loading into your particular environments. So this is the boilerplate setup that we needed to do. Now we will straight away go to our code, understand how to use Langchain and how we are going to build those chains and how are we going to get the results. So before creating, let's plan around what we are going to do in our project. First of all, we need to create take a user question. So let's make it step 1. Step 1 is basically user question plus system prompt I need to create equal to final prompt. So basically I need to create a prompt initially, and step 2 will be make an API call to LLM and get the response. So these are the two steps which I need to do to generate my result. So to do the first step, so let's write down the step code for step 1. So for step 1, I need to install a library. I will say from Langchain dot prompts import prompt template. So I'm going to use prompt template class. So what this does, it takes my certain message and converts it into a prompt. So I will say, let's say prompt. I'm creating a basic text prompt first of all, then I will convert it into this. So I will say how to write down, just give 3 brackets like this, and you will say you are a very helpful assistant. Take the user question and answer to the best of your knowledge. So this is kind of system prompt basically, right? So this is a system prompt. Now what I need to do, remember, I need to take the user question. So I will say user question and I will pass it in form of a variable, because user question will change constantly as the person types different question. This particular thing which will go into, for example, when you type anything in ChatGPT, right, this is the text which will go, and this question will keep on varying as per the user question. So this will become a dynamic thing, and this is your static part. So this is your system prompt basically, and this is your user question. So now you have created a basic static string. Now what you need to do, you need to convert this into a prompt template. So I will say, let's say this is template. I will convert this into a final prompt template. I'll say prompt, which is going to be, I'll call the class prompt template. Now I need to pass 2 variables. Remember, the first thing is the template that we created above. So I will say template, which is equal to template that I created here. So, and second thing is we need to inject this value of question every time, right? So how will we get this value? This value we will get through user when user passes. So I need to remember always inject this value. So I will see input variables. And what are the input variables right now? This is question. Okay, so remember these two should have the exact name, question. So whatever user is going to pass the question in this prompt, it will dynamically go here. So we are done with our step 1, creation of prompt. Now comes our second step, which I mentioned, step 2. So in step 2, what we are going to do, we'll create a chain. As I mentioned, we have 2 tasks, right? So after task, there will be task 2, step 1, step 2. So I'll create a chain, before create a chain, we'll create an LLM object for API call. So first let's create the task 2. So how to create this? I will say LLM. So for example, we have 2 models which are going to use. We are going to use OpenAI ChatGPT, and we are going to use Llama model through Groq. So what you do, you will go here, you'll say from, remember I forgot, we need to install 2 more libraries here. The first library will be Langchain OpenAI. This library will help you set up with OpenAI, and then you will say Langchain Groq. So this library will help you set up things with your Groq. So I will simply go install here. I'll say pip install Langchain open, or I will simply say now install the requirement file once again, our requirements.txt. You can install individually as well, or you can simply call requirement.txt file once again. Suppose you make some changes, so you can do that. Now if we see Langchain, both are installed. So let's go to my main code. I will say, so first of all, let's build the model using Groq API, and after that we will do using, or let's say first build through GPT model, and then we will go through Groq API. So I will say from Langchain OpenAI, which is present here, import. Now this is very important. I will say chat OpenAI. This particular class will help you pass your prompt to the LLM and give you output. Okay, so this is particularly helpful in using chat OpenAI. So now I will create an object. I will say LLM equal to chat OpenAI, which I just created. Now I need to pass few parameters, if you remember, which we spoke when we were discussing play around. So first of all will be temperature. I will say temperature equal to 0, and after that you need to select the model which you want to use. I want to use model equal to GPT-4. You can change the model as per your need. So right now I'm using GPT-4, but you can use anything. So this is how your LLM object is created for your, so this is your prompt, this is your LLM. Now what did I tell you about the Langchain? Langchain take 2 tasks and chain them together, right? So here comes chain the 2 tasks together. So here will come this particular part. Now what I'm going to do, I'll say chain equal to, remember in chain the first step is prompt. So I will pass this prompt as first, and after this for chaining I will use this pipe operator and call the LLM. So what this is going to do, this particular code is going to do it will take your prompt, it will put user question, whatever user question is going to pass, it will put into this, right? So let's say a user question asks, tell me a joke about something. So what will happen, this will become your text, tell me a joke on data science, right? So this will be your prompt, which will eventually go to LLM. So this is what the first part will do. It will take the user question and inject it, and once it is injected, it will pass into LLM. So that's why task 1, then task 2. Now once this is done, you need to invoke this. So how to run? Now right now the chain is created, you need to run the chain as well. So how you need to run the chain? You use a method called invoke. So you will say response is equal to chain.invoke. Now invoke is basically where you will actually pass the user question. Now remember, whatever value you pass inside invoke has to be present in a Python dictionary format. So what is a Python dictionary? It is generally like this, where you have a key and you have a value. Okay, so how you pass this? You will create a dictionary here, and remember what is my key? My key is user question. So I will say question, and after that I will put the user question. For example, let's say user is asking tell me a joke about data science. So suppose I have created, this is my user question. Now once you run this, so this is the part that is created. I will remove remaining part because I don't need them to test, right? So this is the overall code that you need to run any AI application or AI chatbot. Now we will see the response, that how does this particular thing give me response. So I will say print response. Okay, so just to walk you through code, what did we do? First of all, we created a prompt, a text, converted it into a prompt. Then we created an LLM object. Right now we are doing GPT. We will also learn how to do using Groq API. So, and then we will chain the two tasks together, and then I will invoke by passing a user question, and I will print a response. So now when I run this particular code, so let's see what result comes in. So I have just passed it. It is going to pass. Now if you see, this is the response that I have got. Now let's look around this particular thing. So let me create a readme.md file. Now if I paste this response here, you will see that this part is where it has given me an answer. After this, it has given me some additional things as well. Like this is something, LLM has given me a response like this. This is a response, and so tokens, prompt token details, right? Then it has given me this thing, and it has given me this thing. Okay, and it has given me many other. So it has given me a lot of information. So additional cogs, response metadata, prompt token size, like all this. Right now I am only interested in the response. So what is the actual response? If you see, it is present in this variable called content. Okay, so what will I do in the code? I will simply add one thing here. I will say print response.content. So what is this going to do? This will simply, instead of giving everything in the response, it will only give me the content part of it. So now let's run the code once again. If we see, now it should give me only the content part. So now if you see, this has given me a code. For example, here is a classic one for you. Why do data scientists have a bad social life? Because they try to get all the relationships into a model. So something like this. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a good joke or not, but yes, this is a response that we got from our LLM. And this is how we build a custom chatbot based on our LLM. Now you can play around with it. For example, you can change the system prompt from here. All right, we will play that. I will show that once again. But before that, let's understand how can I change the output for a Groq model, because we just saw this we did using GPT model. Now GPT model costs money for every API call. So to do for testing purposes and your general play around, it's good to use Groq API. So it is also very similar, exactly similar to this. What you need to do simply, where you install Langchain OpenAI, this you need to install from Langchain _Groq, right? So just see the change from OpenAI, you just installed Groq. That is the change, and rest you will import Chatgroq. So everything is exactly similar, just like from OpenAI to become Groq, and rest all remain same. Okay, so now this is the thing. Now one more change you need to do. For example, this LLM was for ChatGPT because you were using Chat OpenAI. So let's comment this particular code. Now I will add a code for my Groq API. So I will say LLM equal to Chatgroq, temperature equal to 0, and I will say model. Now model, there are multiple models. So let's go and check the Groq API website, which model do we want to use. So if we come to Groq, we see there are a lot of models which are present here, like Llama models are there. There is Gemma 2, 9B IT. You can choose any, like all these are free of use case, so you can choose any model. I'll for example just use llama 370B8192. So but you can change as per your need. So I will come to this particular part. I will say llama 370B and 8192. So this is my model. So I'll be using llama model, temperature equal to 0, rest all code will remain same. So if you clearly see, it is pretty easy to switch between any of the LLMs, right? The overall code structure which you need to just set up, and you can basically create anything you want. Like I used OpenAI here, just commented, use Groq, right, and use the right model and you will get it. So it's pretty that easy. Now let's run and check the result. What are we getting? So I got a response from llama model. Here is the one. Why did data scientist break up with his girlfriend? Because he realized he was just correlated, like some kind of joke it created. I leave it up to you whether it's good or not, but our main objective is to understand that LLM can generate different responses, and this is how your chatbot is created. Now you can create a good UI around it and put on your website, put anywhere. Now you can play around with this. Like here for example, let us say I will say you're a financial advisor, provide me the best financial advice to meet my daily needs, for example. Now remember, this model you can make it very advanced as we move ahead, because right now you can play around with the prompt, like you can try around with different prompts, and you can see which type of reply come, which models are giving you better responses. Then you can let me know in comments which prompt is actually good. And there are more additional techniques which we will study later on, but this is the architecture of any chatbot which you create using LLM. For example, now once I run this, let me change the question. Let's say I earn a salary of 5 LPA. Tell me how to save money in next 6 months, something like that. Let's say I ask anything randomly, right? And what is it going to do? It is going to provide me the result. So once I run this, it will give me some advice. See, it has given me an action plan for 6 months. So it very smartly, it has given me all the response. Congratulations for taking, so like your monthly salary is this, tax. It will give you very good advice, right? So you can play around with responses right from the prompt which you are going to have there. So just take this code, change the prompt here, and see different outputs. Tell me in the chat box that what prompts are better for you, what you find good with it, what you do not find good with it, how we can improve the results more. So those things we will discuss in future videos, but this is for now the overall architecture, that how you can create a chatbot using any LLM. For example, we are using Groq and ChatGPT, but you can use other models as well, just like the one I showed you. So I hope this video was helpful. This video was just for beginners, especially if you are just learning the development using for AI or chatbot using LLM. This video is must for you. Please go through it completely, try it on your own, and let me know in the comments. And please, thanks again for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, and we are coming up with more such videos. And we have also interesting workshops. We go live every weekend on you can check out the schedule on our WhatsApp groups. And for more details, please follow our community. Thanks again for watching this video. Please subscribe to channel once again, and I will see you in the next video.